Sometimes angels appear in unexpected places. For Amira Jenkins, working the night shift at a gas station while 7 months pregnant, that angel wore a baseball cap and drove a Tesla. What started as a simple late-night encounter would spark a revolution in healthcare education and change countless lives. But on that foggy October night in East Palo Alto, she was just trying to make it through another shift, unaware that the quiet customer at pump number 3 was about to transform her world forever. The fluorescent lights of the gas station buzzed overhead as Amira adjusted her name tag. Her fingers brushed against the worn plastic, tracing the letters she'd pinned to her blue uniform shirt every night for the past 2 years. The clock on the wall read 11:30 p.m., and she still had hours to go before her shift ended. "Just a little longer, baby girl," Amira whispered, resting her hand on her round belly. At 7 months pregnant, her uniform stretched tight across her middle, but she stood tall and proud behind the counter. Each shift brought her closer to her dream of finishing nursing school. The bell above the door chimed as Mr. John, one of her regular customers, walked in. His city maintenance uniform was covered in dirt from his late shift fixing water pipes. "Evening, Miss Amira," he called out, heading straight for the coffee machine. "You're still here? Shouldn't you be resting at home?" Amira smiled, the kind of smile that reached her tired eyes. "Can't rest yet, Mr. John. Got bills to pay and a future to build." She watched as he filled his large coffee cup, adding just 2 sugars, the same order he'd had every night for the past year. "My Maria was just like you when she was expecting our Jose," Mr. John said, placing his coffee on the counter. "Worked right up until the day before he was born. Now he's finishing high school, top of his class." He pulled out his wallet, but Amira waved him off. "This one's on me," she said. "You helped me change my tire last week, remember?" Mr. John shook his head but smiled. "You're too kind, Miss Amira, but please take care of yourself and that little one." After he left, Amira checked her phone, 1 missed call from Gran and a text that made her heart squeeze. "Called the nursing school today. They said they can hold your spot for 1 more semester. Baby girl, don't give up." Amira blinked back tears as she remembered the day she'd had to pause her nursing studies. The medical bills from her prenatal care had started piling up, and even with Gran's Social Security check helping out, there just wasn't enough money for tuition. But Gran never let her lose hope. "Your mama was a fighter, and you're just like her," Gran always said. Amira's mother had passed away when Amira was just 5, leaving Gran to raise her. Now, at 72, Gran still worked part-time at the library to help with the bills. The night grew quieter as midnight approached. Amira used the time to stock shelves, moving carefully with her pregnant belly. She had a system. Start with the heavy items while she still had energy, save the lighter ones for later when fatigue set in. As she restocked the energy drinks, she felt a flutter in her belly. "I know, sweetie," she said softly. "Mama's tired too, but we're doing this for us, for Gran, and for all those patients I'm going to help someday." Her phone buzzed again, this time a text from her best friend, Desiree. "Girl, you better be sitting down when you can. Don't make me come down there and force you to take a break." Amira smiled, remembering how they'd met in nursing school. Desiree had finished her degree and now worked at the local hospital. She'd been trying to help Amira find scholarships and grants to return to school. The bathroom needed cleaning, and Amira gathered her supplies. "Okay, little one," she said to her belly. "Let's get this done before the late-night rush." She'd learned that truckers and late shift workers usually started arriving around 2 a.m. As she mopped the floor, she hummed a lullaby Gran used to sing to her, the same one she'd sing to her own daughter. Soon her back ached and her feet were swollen in her sensible shoes, but Amira kept moving. Each task completed was another step toward her goals. She just finished when her phone rang. It was Gran. "Baby girl, you need to come straight home after your shift. No extra hours tonight," Gran said firmly. "But Gran, Thursday nights are usually good for tips, and What we need is for you and that great-grandbaby to be healthy," Gran interrupted. "I made some of my special chicken soup. It'll be waiting when you get home." Amira's stomach growled at the thought. "Okay, Gran, regular shift only, I promise." After hanging up, Amira checked the security cameras. All clear. She started counting inventory, keeping her mind busy by calculating how many more shifts she'd need to cover next month's medical checkup. The pregnancy hadn't been planned. The baby's father had disappeared as soon as Amira told him the news, but she'd never regretted her decision to keep her daughter. Every kick and movement reminded her that she wasn't just working for herself anymore. Near 1 a.m., she took her required break, settling onto the stool behind the counter with a small container of fruit she'd packed. Gran insisted she eat healthy snacks throughout her shift. As she ate a piece of apple, she pulled out the worn notebook where she kept her budget numbers, filled with pages of hours worked, bills due, and savings goals. She was behind on her electric bill, but had managed to start a small emergency fund. It wasn't much, but it was something. She'd learned from Gran that every penny counted. The night air was cool when she stepped outside to check the gas pumps. October in East Palo Alto meant foggy nights and the occasional sight of expensive cars from neighboring Silicon Valley communities getting lost on their way to somewhere else. Standing under the bright station lights, Amira rubbed her belly and looked up at the few stars visible through the fog. "We're going to make it, baby girl," she whispered. "Mama's going to finish school, become a nurse, and give you everything you deserve. That's a promise." She was so lost in thought that she almost missed the sound, the quiet purr of an expensive engine approaching the station through the fog. She saw sleek headlights cutting through the night. The car was unlike anything she'd ever seen at her station, especially at this hour. As it pulled up to the pump, Amira straightened her uniform and headed back inside. She had a feeling this customer was going to be different from her usual late-night regulars. The security camera showed the car clearly now, a Tesla, one of the newest models. But it was the driver stepping out who would change everything. Though Amira didn't know it yet, she just knew she had a customer to serve. And like everything else in her life, she was going to give it her all. The bell chimed as the door opened, and Amira put on her professional smile, ready to face whatever the night might bring. The man who walked in wore a simple black t-shirt and jeans, his head down as he typed on his phone. Without the Tesla outside, he could have been any late-night customer, but something about him made Amira pause. Maybe it was the way he moved, like someone used to people watching him. "Good evening, Amira," he called out with his usual warmth. "Let me know if you need help finding anything." He glanced up briefly, nodded, and headed toward the coffee station. His baseball cap was pulled low, but Amira caught a glimpse of his face. She'd seen it somewhere before, maybe on TV or online, but she couldn't place it right now. She had more important things to worry about than placing a familiar face. The door chimed again as Mrs. Chen from the local bakery came in. She did her shopping every night after closing her shop. "Amira, you're getting bigger," Mrs. Chen exclaimed, hurrying over to the counter. "Here, I brought you some of those sesame balls you liked last week. Good for the baby." She placed a small paper bag on the counter. "Mrs. Chen, you're too kind," Amira said, touched by the gesture. "But you don't have to." "Nonsense. My daughter-in-law ate these every day when she was pregnant. Now my grandson is top of his class in math." Mrs. Chen started gathering her usual items: milk, bread, and energy drinks for her early morning baking sessions. The man in the baseball cap had moved to the snack aisle, but seemed to be listening to their conversation. He picked up a package of cookies, then put them back, his attention clearly elsewhere. Amira's phone buzzed, a text from Gran. "Don't forget your vitamin drink, baby girl, and put your feet up when you can." As she read the message, her other phone, her backup phone for emergencies, lit up with a past due notice from the electric company. Amira's heart sank. She thought she'd have until next week to figure that one out. "Everything okay?" Mrs. Chen asked, noticing Amira's expression change. "Oh, yes," Amira said quickly, putting on her brightest smile. "Just Gran reminding me to take care of myself." She started ringing up Mrs. Chen's items, but her mind was racing with calculations. Maybe she could pick up an extra morning shift at the diner down the street. They were always looking for help. The man with the baseball cap was now pretending to read the ingredients on an energy drink, but Amira noticed he'd been holding the same can for several minutes. In her 2 years of late-night shifts, she'd learned to spot unusual behavior, but he didn't give off dangerous vibes, just curious ones. Mrs. Chen finished her shopping and insisted on leaving the sesame balls. Eat them while they're fresh, she instructed. Good for mother and baby. After Mrs. Chen left, the mysterious customer finally approached the counter. Up close, Amira could see his eyes were sharp and intelligent, taking in everything around him. Just this, he said, placing the energy drink down. His voice was familiar too, but Amira was distracted by a kick from her baby girl. She rubbed her belly automatically, a gesture that caught the customer's attention. Strong one in there? He asked, smiling slightly. She doesn't like it when I stand still too long, Amira said with a small laugh. He smiled slightly. For a moment, his face transformed into something more approachable. How many hours do you work? He asked, his tone casual but interested. Oh, the usual, Amira said vaguely, not wanting to admit to the extra shifts she picked up whenever possible. She rang up his drink, but before she could tell him the total, her emergency phone buzzed again. This time, it was the nursing school. Final notice. Deadline for holding your spot in the program expires in 48 hours. Please contact admissions office to discuss options. Amira's hand trembled slightly as she tried to silence the phone. The customer pretended not to notice, but she saw his eyes flick to the screen before she could put it away. That'll be $4.75, she said, her voice steady despite the worry churning in her stomach. 2 years of nursing school completed, only 2 more to go. But it might as well have been 1,000,000 miles away right now. He handed her a $20. Keep the change. Sir, that's too much, Amira started to protest, but he was already walking away. Consider it a thank you for keeping this place open so late, he said over his shoulder. The bell chimed as he left, and through the window, Amira watched him return to his Tesla. To her surprise, he didn't drive away immediately. She could see him in his car, phone to his ear, talking intently about something. The light from his screen illuminated his face clearly for the first time, and suddenly, Amira knew why he looked familiar. Her heart started racing. Had that really been... No, it couldn't be. Why would Elon Musk be buying an energy drink at her gas station in the middle of the night? Before she could process this thought, a group of tired-looking construction workers came in, their reflective vests dusty from their night shift. Amira pushed aside her questions and focused on helping them find coffee and snacks. But as she worked, she could still see the Tesla parked at the pump through the window. Its owner was still on the phone, gesturing as he talked. Occasionally, he would glance toward the store, and Amira had the strange feeling he was watching her work. Another wave of customers came in, hospital staff from the midnight shift change, their scrubs reminding Amira of her own paused dreams. She served them with her usual care, remembering how she used to imagine herself in those same scrubs. You're still here? One of the nurses asked kindly. I saw you when I started my shift 12 hours ago. Just covering for a coworker, Amira said, not mentioning that she'd volunteered for the extra hours. Every dollar counted now, especially with that electric bill warning. Finally, the Tesla's engine hummed to life as it pulled away from the UTD pump. Amira noticed something on the counter, a business card, plain white with just a phone number and email address, no name. Had he left it on purpose? She picked it up, turning it over in her hands. On the back, written in neat handwriting, was a simple message. Sometimes help comes from unexpected places. The rest of her shift passed in a blur of customers and tasks, but Amira's mind kept returning to the mysterious visitor and his cryptic message. She tucked the card into her pocket next to the crumpled electric bill notice and the nursing school deadline reminder. As she locked up the station at the end of her shift, the morning sun was just starting to peek through the fog. Her feet ached, her back was sore, but something felt different about this morning. Maybe it was the baby's constant movement, or maybe it was the weight of that business card in her pocket. But Amira had a feeling that last night's shift had been more than just another night at work. She rubbed her belly one last time before starting her walk home. What do you think, baby girl? Should Mama make that call? The only answer was a gentle kick, but somehow that felt like enough. The morning sun had burned away most of the fog by the time Amira reached the small house she shared with Gran. The old porch steps creaked under her feet, a familiar sound that always welcomed her home. Before she could reach for her keys, the door opened. I've been watching for you, Gran said, wearing her faded floral robe. The smell of her famous chicken soup wafted out from behind her. "You're late." "Sorry, Gran. The morning replacement was running behind." Amara didn't mention the mysterious customer or the business card that seemed to weigh 100 pounds in her pocket. She wasn't sure what to think about it herself yet. Gran studied her face the way she always had, ever since Amara was a little girl, trying to hide a scraped knee or a bad grade. "Something's different about you this morning. Come on in and tell me about your shift while you eat." The kitchen was warm and cozy with its yellow curtains and the collection of mismatched mugs that Gran had gathered over the years. A bowl of soup waited on the table, steam rising invitingly. "Eat first, talk later," Gran instructed, pulling out a chair as Amara sank into it gratefully. Her phone buzzed. It was Desiree. "Girl, you will not believe who I just saw leaving the hospital board meeting. Call me when you can." Amara's heart jumped. Could it be connected to her late visitor? She quickly ate her soup while Gran bustled around the kitchen, humming an old gospel song. "Gran," Amara said carefully, "do you remember when Mom was sick? How that anonymous donor helped with her treatments?" Gran's hands stilled on the dish she was washing. "I think about that kindness every day. Never knew who it was, but it gave us 6 more months with your mama." She turned to face Amara. "Why do you ask?" Before Amara could answer, someone knocked on their front door. Gran wiped her hands and went to answer it, returning with Mr. Wilson, their landlord. "Morning, Amara," he said, looking uncomfortable. "Listen, I hate to do this, but the building inspector's coming next week. We need to fix that leak in your bathroom. It's going to cost how much?" $800. Gran interrupted, her voice tight. Amara knew that tone. It meant Gran was already figuring out which bills could wait. "I can give you till the end of the month," Mr. Wilson said. Amara said quickly, her hand touching the business card in her pocket, "Thank you for letting us know." After Mr. Wilson left, Gran sat heavily in her chair. "Don't you worry about this, baby girl. I can pick up some extra hours at the library." "No, Gran." Amara pulled out her emergency phone, showing Gran the electric bill notice. "We need to talk about everything, but first, I need to make a call." She went to her small bedroom, decorated with nursing textbooks and the dream board she'd made when she started school. Photos of hospital nurseries and smiling nurses were pinned next to her acceptance letter from the nursing program. Her scrubs from her first year of clinicals hung in the corner, waiting. Taking a deep breath, Amara pulled out the business card. Her hands shook slightly as she dialed the number. A professional voice answered immediately. "Mr. Musk's office. How may I help you?" So it had been him. Amara's voice caught in her throat for a moment. Yes, he left his card at Starlight gas station last night." "Ah, Miss Jenkins. We've been expecting your call. Please hold." Amara sank onto her bed, her mind spinning. How did they know her name? What did they mean they'd been expecting her call? "Miss Jenkins," a different voice now, warm and friendly. "I'm Sarah, Mr. Musk's personal assistant. He asked me to talk with you about a new program we're developing. Do you have a few minutes?" The next 15 minutes changed everything. As Sarah explained the details, Amara's eyes filled with tears. When the call ended, she sat in silence, one hand on her belly, feeling her daughter's movements. "Amaya?" Gran called from the kitchen. "You okay in there?" "Yes, Gran," she managed to say. "I'm better than okay." She walked back to the kitchen on shaky legs. Gran took one look at her face and pulled out a chair. "Sit down before you fall down." "What happened just then?" Gran asked. Amara's phone buzzed again. It was Desiree. "Girl, Elon Musk was just at the hospital talking about some new healthcare education initiative. And guess what? They specifically mentioned helping nursing students who had to pause their studies due to financial hardship. Call me now." Gran picked up the phone Amara had dropped in surprise, reading the message. She looked at her granddaughter with wide eyes. "Amara Jenkins, what happened on your shift last night?" Before Amara could answer, another text came through. This one was from Sarah. "Mr. Musk would like to meet with you tomorrow at 2 p.m. to discuss the details. A car will pick you up, and don't worry about your shift. We've already spoken with your manager." Amara looked at Gran, tears streaming down her face. "Remember how you always said Mom's angel was watching over us? I think maybe angels drive Teslas now." Gran sat down beside her, taking her hand. "Start from the beginning, baby girl. Tell me everything. As Amira began to explain, she felt her daughter kick again, stronger this time. Maybe the baby could sense that things were about to change, but as Amira would soon learn, she had no idea just how much. By the time Amira finished telling Gran everything about her encounter with Elon Musk, the chicken soup had gone cold and the morning sun was streaming through the kitchen windows. Gran hadn't interrupted once, which was unusual for her. She just sat there holding Amira's hand, her eyes growing wider with each detail. And that's when Ania texted about tomorrow's meeting. Amira finished, her voice hoarse from talking. Her phone had been buzzing nonstop with messages from Desiree, but she hadn't checked them yet. Gran stood up slowly and walked to the old china cabinet in the corner. From behind a stack of plates, she pulled out a worn envelope. "I think it's time you saw this," she said, returning to the table. Inside the envelope was a letter, the paper yellow with age. "This came right after your mama asked," Gran explained. "I never showed it to you because you were too young to understand. And later it didn't seem to matter anymore." Amira's hands trembled as she unfolded the letter. It was from the hospital where her mother had spent her final days. The letter explained that an anonymous donor had not only covered all of her mother's medical bills, but had also set up a small education fund for Era. "But Gran, why? Why didn't you tell me about this fund when I started nursing school?" Gran's eyes filled with tears. "Baby girl, that money got used up long before you started school. When you were 12 and needed that emergency surgery for your appendix, that's what paid for it. The letter said the donor wanted it used for whatever you needed most." Amira felt her daughter kick again, as if the baby was trying to be part of this moment too. She placed her hand on her belly, thinking about how life had a way of coming full circle. Her phone buzzed again, this time with an email. The subject line made her gasp, "Nursing school registration status update." "What is it?" Gran asked, leaning forward. Amira read the email aloud, her voice shaking. "Dear Miss Jenkins, we are pleased to inform you that your student account has been cleared of all past due balances. Additionally, your tuition for the upcoming semester has been paid in full. Please contact the registrar's office to confirm your class schedule." Before she could finish reading, another email arrived. This one was from her electric company. "Payment received, account current, autopay has been set up for future payments." Then another notification, "Medical bill payment confirmed, balance 0, and another, "Rent payment processed for 12 months in advance." Era's phone kept buzzing with similar messages, each one erasing a worry that had kept her awake at night. Gran moved her chair closer, reading over her shoulder, her hand pressed to her mouth in disbelief. "I need to call Desiree," Amira whispered, finally picking up her friend's calls. Desiree answered on the first ring. "Girl, where have you been? You will not believe what's happening at the hospital. They just announced a new program for healthcare workers focusing on single parents." And Desiree, Amira interrupted, "I need to tell you something." She put the phone on speaker so Gran could hear too and began explaining about her late-night visitor. "Hold up," Desiree said. "You're telling me Elon Musk came to your gas station, bought an energy drink, and now all your bills are magically paid? Girl, that's exactly what happened." A new voice joined the conversation. Amira nearly dropped her phone. It was Sarah, Musk's assistant. "I apologize for interrupting, but I was asked to conference in, Miss Jenkins. I hope you don't mind that we took care of a few things ahead of tomorrow's meeting. Mr. Musk believes in removing obstacles before discussing opportunities." Gran reached for Amira's hand again, squeezing it tight. "What kind of opportunities?" she asked, her voice strong and protective. "That's what tomorrow's meeting is about," Ania explained. "But I can tell you that it involves a new healthcare initiative we're launching. We've been looking for someone to help shape the program, someone who understands both the medical field and the challenges that prevent people from pursuing healthcare careers." "And you think that's me?" Amira asked in disbelief. "Mr. Musk was very impressed by what he learned about you, Miss Jenkins. Your work ethic, your dedication to becoming a nurse despite all obstacles, your volunteer work at the youth center. Yes, we know about that too." Desiree, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, suddenly spoke up. "The new pediatric clinic they're planning to build near the hospital, is that part of this?" "All of that will be discussed tomorrow," Ania said diplomatically. For now, Miss Jenkins, please take the rest of the day to rest. The car will pick you up at 1:30 p.m. tomorrow, and don't worry about what to wear. There's a package being delivered to you within the hour. After the call ended, the three women sat in stunned silence. It was broken by a knock-knock at the door. The promised package had arrived. Inside, Amira found a beautiful maternity dress in her favorite shade of blue, along with comfortable but professional-looking shoes. "It's really happening, isn't it?" Amira whispered, touching the soft fabric of the dress. "But why me? There are so many other people who need help." Gran stood up and pulled Amira into a tight hug. "Maybe that's exactly why it's you, baby girl, because you understand that. Because even when you were struggling yourself, you never stopped helping others." As if to agree, Amira's daughter gave another strong kick. Gran laughed, feeling it under her hand. "See, even this little one knows her mama is special." Amira looked around their small kitchen at the dreams she'd pinned to the refrigerator with magnets, at the nursing textbooks she'd refused to sell, even when money was tight, at Gran's proud smile. Everything looked the same, but everything felt different. Her phone buzzed one final time, a text from an unknown number. "Sometimes the best investments are in people who invest in others. Get some rest." Amira sat back down, overwhelmed by it all. Tomorrow would bring more changes, more surprises, more answers, but for now she just sat with Gran, feeling her baby move, and let herself do something she hadn't done in a long time. She let herself dream big. What she didn't know was that her dreams weren't nearly big enough for what was coming next. Sleep didn't come easily that night. Amira lay in her bed, watching moonlight dance across the ceiling as her daughter performed what felt like gymnastics in her belly. "You're excited too, aren't you?" she whispered, running her hand over a particularly strong kick. The blue dress hung on her closet door, catching the moonlight. It looked like something from another world compared to her gas station uniform and worn maternity clothes. Gran had pressed it carefully, humming gospel songs the whole time. At 1:25 p.m. the next day, Amira stood in front of her mirror, hardly recognizing herself. The dress fit perfectly, making her feel both professional and beautiful. Gran had done her hair in neat braids, weaving in small blue beads that matched the dress. "You look just like your mama," Gran said, adjusting the dress's collar. "She'd be so proud of you, baby girl." A sleek black car pulled up outside exactly at 1:30. The driver, a kind-faced woman named Maria, helped Amira into the back seat. The leather was soft, and the air conditioning was a blessing in the afternoon heat. "It's about a 30-minute drive," Maria explained, pulling away from the curb. "There's water and snacks in the console if you need them." They drove past the gas station where everything had changed just 2 days ago. The familiar streets of East Palo Alto gave way to the manicured lawns and gleaming buildings of the tech district. Amira's phone buzzed with an encouraging text from Desiree. "You've got this, Mama." The car turned into a tree-lined driveway leading to a modern building made of glass and steel. Tesla Healthcare Division, read the sign, but it looked so new that Amira could still smell fresh paint. As they walked inside, Sarah was waiting in the lobby, her warm smile matching her voice from the phone. "Miss Jenkins, welcome. How are you feeling?" "A little overwhelmed," Amira admitted. "That's completely understandable, but don't worry, this isn't a formal meeting. Mr. Musk just wants to show you something." They took an elevator to the top floor. The doors opened to reveal not an office, but what looked like a hospital ward. Only instead of patients, the rooms were filled with the most advanced medical training equipment Amira had ever seen. "This is our simulation center," Anya explained, "or it will be once it's finished. What do you think?" Amira walked slowly through the space, taking in the high-tech mannequins, the realistic nursery setup, and the state-of-the-art monitoring systems. It was like every page of her nursing textbooks had come to life. "It's amazing," she breathed. "But why are you showing me this?" "Because we need someone who understands what it's like to dream of being a nurse while facing real-world obstacles," a familiar voice said behind her. Amira turned to find Elon Musk walking toward them, wearing the same casual style as he had at the gas station. This time, though, he wasn't trying to be inconspicuous. "Mr. Musk, I don't know how to thank you for everything you've done," Amira started, but he held up a hand. "Don't thank me yet," he said. "What I'm about to propose is going to require a lot of work from you." He gestured to a comfortable seating area. "Please sit. We have some things to discuss over the next hour." Musk laid out his vision. The simulation center wasn't just for training. It was part of a larger initiative to support healthcare workers from underserved communities. While Amira finished her nursing degree, she would help design programs to identify and support other students facing similar challenges. "We want to break the cycle," he explained, "not just for a few people, but systematically, and we need someone who's lived it to help us get it right." Amira's mind was spinning with possibilities. The pediatric clinic Desiree mentioned will be the first of many. "Starting here in East Palo Alto, but the plan is to expand," he confirmed. "And we want you to be part of that growth." Her daughter chose that moment to deliver a particularly energetic kick. Musk smiled. "Seems like someone else is excited about the idea." "She's going to grow up in a world where dreams don't have to be just dreams," Amira said softly, tears in her eyes. Sarah appeared with a tablet. "There are some forms for you to sign, scholarship agreements, program outlines, your new job contract." "Job contract?" Amira looked up in surprise. "Part-time while you finish school, full-time after graduation," Musk explained, "with full benefits, of course, including childcare here in the building." As Amira read through the documents, each page revealed something more amazing than the last. The salary made her gasp. It was more than she'd ever dreamed of making. But it was the job title that brought fresh tears. "Director of Community Healthcare Initiatives, this is really happening?" she asked, her voice trembling. "It's happening because you made it happen," Musk said firmly. "Every extra shift you worked, every time you helped someone, even when you were struggling yourself, those choices led to this moment." Before she could respond, Sarah's phone buzzed. "Sir, the contractor for the pediatric clinic is here for the final approval on the plans. Would you like to come along?" Musk asked. "Amira, after all, you'll be working closely with that facility." As they walked to the meeting, Amira felt her daughter move again, but this time it didn't feel like gymnastics. It felt like dancing. Something was ending. Her nights of worry, her fears about the future, but something much bigger was beginning. She just didn't know yet how many lives would be changed because of that one night shift at a gas station. The next few weeks passed in a whirlwind of activity. Amira started her nursing classes again, but this time, everything was different. Instead of rushing from the gas station to class, she attended lectures in Tesla's state-of-the-art training facility. Instead of worrying about bills, she focused on her studies and helping design the community healthcare program. One morning, as she walked into the building that still smelled of fresh paint, she found Desiree waiting in the lobby. "Girl, you're not going to believe this," Desiree said, practically bouncing with excitement. "Remember Maria from the pediatric ward? The single mom who had to drop out of nursing school last year? She just got accepted into the program." Amira's heart swelled. Maria had been one of the nurse aides she'd met during her clinical rotations before she had to pause her studies. "Did they tell her about the child care center yet?" Amira asked. "That's actually why I'm here," Desiree grinned. "They want us both to help interview child care staff. Since you're going to be using the facility too, they thought you should have a say." As they walked to the conference room, Amira felt her daughter move. At 8 months pregnant now, the movements were more like waves than kicks. They passed the simulation center where nursing students were already training, their faces bright with the same dreams Amira had carried for so long. Sarah met them at the door. "Perfect timing. But before we start the interviews, Mr. Musk wanted me to show you something." She led them to a large room Amira hadn't seen before. The walls were covered with photos, hundreds of them. Looking closer, Amira realized they were all healthcare workers, each with a small story printed beneath their picture. "These are all the people who had to pause or give up their medical training due to financial hardship in just our area alone," Anaya explained. "We've contacted every single one of them." Amira scanned the faces, stopping at one that made her gasp. There, in a faded photograph, was her mother in nursing scrubs. The caption read, "Sandra Jenkins, Pediatric Nurse Training, 1995. Program interrupted due to illness." "Your mother's story was part of what inspired this whole initiative," a familiar voice said behind them. Elon Musk walked in, his casual attire now a familiar sight to Amira. When we researched healthcare inequity in this area, her case kept coming up. A brilliant nursing student who had to stop due to medical bills, leaving behind a young daughter who would face the same barriers years later. Amira touched her mother's photo, tears streaming down her face. "You knew all this time?" Musk nodded. "That anonymous donor who helped with your mother's treatment? That was my first attempt at addressing this issue. But I realized later that paying individual bills wasn't enough. The system needed to change, and that's why you came to the gas station that night." Amira asked, "Because you knew who I was?" "No," he said with a slight smile. "I came to the gas station because I was testing a new Tesla prototype and needed a break. Finding you there, that was either coincidence or fate, depending on what you believe. But watching you work, seeing your dedication despite everything you were dealing with, confirmed what I'd been thinking. We needed someone who understood both sides of this problem." Desiree, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, spoke up. "So, when you say you've contacted everyone in these photos, you're reopening their cases," Anaya explained. "We're offering them a chance to complete their training with full support this time. The program Amira's helping design will make sure no one has to choose between their dreams and their survival again." Just then, Amira's phone buzzed. It was Gran. "Baby girl, you need to come to the gas station. There's something you need to see." "Go," Musk said before Amira could ask. "Sarah will reschedule the interviews." 20 minutes later, a Tesla, now her usual mode of transportation, pulled up to Starlight gas station. The parking lot was full of cars, and a crowd had gathered. Gran stood at the center, talking to, was that Mrs. Chen and Mr. John? "There she is," Gran called out. The crowd turned, and Amira realized she knew every face. They were her gas station regulars, the nurses changing shifts, the construction workers, the late-night customers who'd kept her company during all those long hours. Mrs. Chen rushed forward, holding her phone. "We just got the letters. My niece, the one who wanted to be a doctor but couldn't afford medical school, they're giving her a scholarship." Mr. John was next. "My Jose, the one applying to nursing school, he got accepted into the program. Full funding." One by one, they came forward. Each had a story about someone, a family member, a friend, themselves, who had received an unexpected letter, a phone call, an email. Lives were changing, dreams were being revived, and somehow it all traced back to this gas station. Gran took Amira's hand. "Remember how I always said angels were watching over us? Look around, baby girl. You didn't just find an angel that night, you became one for all these people." Amira looked at the faces around her, seeing in them the same hope she'd carried through all those long nights. Her daughter moved inside her as if sensing the magnitude of the moment. Her phone buzzed one last time. A message from Musk. "Ready to get back to work? There are a lot more dreams waiting to take flight." Standing there, surrounded by the people who had been part of her journey, Amira finally understood that night shift hadn't just changed her life. It had started a wave of change that would ripple out far beyond one gas station, one community, or even one generation. And this was just the beginning. 1 year later, the nursery at Tesla's East Palo Alto Medical Center was quiet, except for the soft crying of babies and the gentle hum of monitoring equipment. Amira, now in her crisp white nursing uniform with Director of Community Healthcare Initiatives embroidered beneath her name, stood at the window, watching her daughter play in the adjacent daycare center. "Hope Tesla Jenkins, you get back here with that stuffed bear," called the daycare teacher, laughing as the 1-year-old toddled away with her prize. Poe's infectious giggle echoed through the glass, making all the nurses smile. "Can't believe she's walking already," Desiree said, joining Amira at the window. "Seems like yesterday we were all cramped in that delivery room." Amira smiled, remembering the day Hope was born. The entire staff had been there. Not just the medical team, but Mrs. Chen bringing her special sesame balls, Mr. Legistrate John with flowers, and Gran holding her hand through every contraction. Even Elon had sent a message, "Welcome to the world, little changemaker M. Jenkins." A nervous voice interrupted her thoughts. "They said I should talk to you about the nursing program." Amira turned to see a young woman in a gas station uniform, her hands protectively cradling a small baby bump. The sight was so familiar, it made her heart skip. "I'm Amira," she said warmly. leading the woman to her office, the same room where she'd first seen her mother's photo a year ago. "Tell me your story." As the young woman Jessica spoke about her dreams of becoming a nurse and the obstacles she faced, Amira opened her laptop. The program was well-oiled now. Within an hour, Jessica had a study plan, chair arrangements, and tears of joy in her eyes. "I don't understand. I don't understand," Jessica whispered. "Why me?" Amira led her to the wall of photos, which had grown considerably over the past year. "See all these faces? Each one has a story like yours, like mine." She pointed to her own photo, still wearing her gas station uniform. "Dreams don't have expiration dates, Jessica. Sometimes they just need a little help taking flight." After Jessica left, Amira had another visitor, Gran, bringing lunch like she did every Wednesday. "Guess who I saw at the library today?" Gran asked, unpacking the food. "Remember that young man who used to come to the gas station late at night, studying for his EMT exam? Marcus, the one who couldn't afford the training course. He's teaching emergency response at the community college now," Gran beamed. "He said to tell you thank you again." They ate together in comfortable silence, watching Hope play through the window. The little girl had her mother's determination. She'd been walking at 10 months and hadn't stopped moving since. "Your mama would be so proud," Gran said softly, "not just of what you've achieved, but of how many others you're helping achieve their dreams too." Amira's phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. "Meeting in 10 minutes. Big news about expanding the program." "That's my cue," Amira said, hugging Gran goodbye. As she walked to the conference room, she passed the simulation center, where Maria, now in her final semester of nursing school, was teaching a class of new students. The meeting room was full of familiar faces. Desiree, now the head of pediatric nursing education, Mr. John's son Jose, who just started his clinical rotations, Mrs. Chen's niece, deep in her medical residency. Elon appeared on the video screen, his casual smile unchanged from that night at the gas station. "Ready to take this program national?" he asked without preamble. The next hour was a blur of plans, proposals, and possibilities. 10 new training centers across the country, partnerships with major hospitals, thousands more healthcare workers to be trained. After the meeting, Amira picked Hope up from daycare and drove them home in her Tesla, still a source of amazement for her gas station regulars. The old house looked different now, renovated and refreshed, but still home. As she got Hope ready for bed, she heard voices outside. Curious, she peeked out the window. A small crowd had gathered on their street, just like that day at the gas station a year ago. But these weren't people seeking help. They were the ones who'd already been helped, coming to celebrate the program's expansion. Maria was there with her kids, all of them wearing nurse t-shirts. Marcus, in his EMT instructor uniform. Jessica, still in her gas station uniform, talking excitedly with other program participants. They were sharing stories, offering encouragement, building a community. Hope squirmed in Amira's arms, reaching toward the window. "Those are our people, baby girl," Amira whispered. "That's your family. All because your mama had a dream and someone believed in it." Her phone buzzed one last time that night, a message from Elon. "Check the news tomorrow. The Tesla healthcare initiative is going worldwide. Ready to help more dreams take flight?" Amira looked at her daughter, now sleepily playing with her name bracelet, Hope Tesla Jenkins, engraved in delicate silver. The name was a reminder of that fateful night, of chances taken, of dreams restored. "What do you think, Hope?" she asked softly. "Ready to help Mama change more lives?" Hope's answer was a sleepy smile, but it was enough, because sometimes the biggest changes start in the smallest moments, like a late-night shift at a gas station, where a tired pregnant woman dared to keep dreaming, and a billionaire in a baseball cap dared to listen. And now, those dreams were taking flight all around the world, one story at a time. If this story touched your heart, remember that kindness has a ripple effect in our world. Just like Amira's chance encounter changed countless lives, your simple act of sharing this message could inspire someone who needs hope today. Let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Do you have your own story of unexpected kindness to share? Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring true stories that remind us of the power of human connection. Together, we can create a chain reaction of kindness, one story at a time. Remember, sometimes angels wear baseball caps, and sometimes they might be watching this video right now. Will you be someone's angel today? Hit that subscribe button and join our community of changemakers. Until next time, keep believing in the power of dreams and the magic of kindness.